Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Sober Talk. Thursday night Sober Talk. We've been doing this for a long time now, but Sober Talk is one of my favorite segments to do here on the channel. Um, Hopefully, I get to, no one gets me going on other stuff, but I get talking about sobriety here on Sober Talk. And for those that do not know, I am a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous with a grand total of 15 years of continuous sobriety. So it is an important spot for me. It's one of the most important things that I've done in my life because without it, I wouldn't be here. So there's that. Alrighty, so be sure to share the stream out. We all know somebody who suffers from alcoholism, or you yourself may suffer from alcoholism. Um, if you do, you're in the right place. Feel safe here. I know several people that continue to struggle. Love you too, babe. Yeah, rest up. We got Save the World after this. Been working my butt off, okay? You Henri, yes. Um, being a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous has been, like I said, an important spot in my life, and it continues to be an important spot in my life. I'll be glad when we can start getting back to normal after this pandemic. Um, you know, I know we're probably going to be dealing with the aftermath of this for many years to come, but that has just been it. The pandemic has really, really slowed things down. Well, hello there, Elias. Welcome to the live stream. Um, I know after this, we're going to be going pretty much right after this. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. This is a right anymore now. I mean, it's almost going to be like kind of after this pandemic, trying to get back to it really has slowed things down. I remember last year it got almost like suspiciously solemn last year around this time. It was like nobody was out, nobody was doing anything. If you did anything, it was you were going to get supplies, so you didn't go out. And we all remember this now, you know. Um, 20 years from now, kids will be saying, we'll be talking about this. It'll start making its way into the history books, you know. How often now, for those of us that are in our 40s now, or older for that matter? Yeah, yeah. Isn't that funny how that is? You go into a bank now with a mask on. Here in the United States, you go into a bank with a mask on. Nobody says anything. Nobody thinks about it anymore. Nobody thinks about these things now. Uh, and before, you had to be careful how you went into a bank, or otherwise they'd get pretty upset. Now it's almost expected. you know, it's like, if you go in with a mask on in a bank, yeah, at 44. And imagine, let's see now, Chairman, remember things from when we were first getting in our 20s, that are, yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you. Black Curtain. Yeah, Princess Faye got that. It kind of helps with some of the filming that goes on in here. But take this in for just a moment, if you all will. There's a couple of us right now in this live stream at this very moment. And I want you to take this in for a moment, okay? Kind of think about this. From things that when I was in my early 20s, okay, that went on, the 9/11 attack. I was 21 when that happened. Where were all of you, when that happened? I could tell you I was right in my living room. I just happened to, I was getting ready to go on a drive. It was actually the 1 year anniversary of my grandfather's passing. So I was getting ready to go on a drive. Where were you when all that happened? I haven't hardly been to a meeting since the 9/11. Yeah, and here you are now. Imagine also for a brief moment. Take all of this in for just a moment. As we're sitting here talking, okay, we're taking all of this in, okay, and just kind of imagine for a brief moment, okay, that if you will, who would have, okay, so you remember that. I was 21 when that happened. I'm sorry. No, I was 22. I just turned 20 the month before I just turned 22. Okay. And wasn't expecting my first child, you know, my then high school sweetheart. We were expecting our first one. So that's where I was. I was 22 years old at that time. So you remember well, how old are you now, Bad Man? How old are you now? I don't know. What we got to do is just kind of backtrack from there, but just kind of take that in for a moment. That was what, now 20 years ago? 20 years ago? Almost 20 years ago. 81. Okay, so you're actually 2 years younger than me, Bad Man. So you were 19 then. If you were born in 81, you were 19 then, I think, because I was born in 79. No, I'm sorry, 2 years younger. So you were 20. Okay, so you were 10. Wow. Okay, so yeah. So take this in for a moment, okay? Actually, Ian, there is something behind this for a moment, okay? It's been difficult for me to get to meetings if you think about it, okay? It has been difficult for me to get to meetings because of the pandemic. Now, there have been people that have said, well, you could do the conference calls. Why would I want to do the conference calls when if I go to them, I want someone face to face, or at that point, I'm just better off calling sober man. So honestly, I've not been, you know, you know, so sober talk has been kind of, since the pandemic began, sober talk has been, the spot where I can go and kind of talk about sobriety for me. Um, you know, um, oh, you got StreamYard then? Yeah. I've got it. I just got to learn how to use it. I don't know a first fucking thing about it. So, think about this for a moment. It's been, is it a lot easier than Zoom? Okay. I believe it actually. So when you think about all of this for just a moment, all right, here we are. You know, I haven't been able to get to a meeting in a long while. And I've been missing that. I've really been missing going to meetings and things like that. Which there's a particular meeting that on Monday nights I would just love to go to. It'd be perfect. Um, I would have to, oh, you got to go? Okay.
I'm gonna call you on your bullshit.
Yeah.
There's a fucking meeting on Mondays now.
Yeah, I know that.
So go.
I just said,
She'll go. She'll go.
oh, really?
She'll go. I'm gonna go lay back down. It's getting hot, so.
So just kind of take that in for a moment, if you will. We've been, so as I started to explain that, it's been, I've not gone because, I'm a high risk, but I've been missing out on meetings. So Sober Talk has been the bright spot for this guy. It's the one spot that I can, go live, and it's a good place for me, to talk about sobriety. Um, but I'll be honest with you, there's nothing like going to an AA meeting. I'll have to double check and see if they ever put it up. But I know not last year, the year before, I did this while I was still DCM for the district down here. Yeah, pretty much. I'm kind of the same way, Chairman, except it's been work in the store for me, the occasional gas station. That's really all that it's been. You know, so I've not been able to go to AA meetings. I'll call Sober Man usually once every other month because he works a lot too. He works an awful lot. So it's hard for him to, get out and, do what he does. Um, and him and I were talking about this at the beginning of the pandemic. Oh, wow. So you go full bore. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I don't get out much. And Princess Faye's like, we'll just go to the meeting. Well, the problem is that, again, there's a lot of people that will come in and, it's AA. There's no such thing as the AA police, if you will. You know, yeah, yeah, we did that one earlier. Yeah, we'll have to get on that one. But just kind of take this in for a moment, that it's been over a year since I've been able to go to a meeting. And so like last year when, I made 14 years, when this year when I made 15 years, I have not been able to go, hey, what's going on, Simon? I've not been able to go to an AA meeting and get those coins, like these. I've not been able to do that. It's been impossible for me, if you will, but not without running the risk of possibly getting sick. And I know there's a lot of fuss about the vaccine here in the United States. And it's like, look, at this stage of the game, it couldn't hurt me. I mean, it's, I mean, one way or the other, just wearing hazmat suit. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I've actually seen some people go that far. Not where I live, but elsewhere. But yeah, I've seen that. So just kind of take that in for a moment that pretty much that's what it has been for me. I've been stuck here, doing what I do here on the channel, staying as active as we can. Um, so a lot of times when pretty much Sober Talk has been kind of the meeting for me, to share my experiences in sobriety. Um, yeah, exactly. And on top of that, a lot of people tend to forget that I've had a stroke. Um, you know, and as I started to say a while ago, here we are now, imagine what it's going to be like when we look back in another 20 years. This whole moment will be making its way into the history books when we look back. Um, you know, where were you 20 years ago when the pandemic hit? How many, and how often are we going to hear that, in another 20 years? Where were you when this happened? Um, hey, what's going on, Augie, man? Good to see you. You know, so I mean, if you take that all into account, that I've not been able to get to AA meetings, so Sober Talk has been the high, my, I guess you could say my meeting online. It's like, well, let me just do what I do. Sober Man and I have talked about that. He's like, just, he's like, go to a meeting, go to a meeting. No, you got to understand, I'm high risk too. You know, we'll do the conference calls. Well, I can call you or I can go live on my YouTube channel. Come on, man. You know, at, at that point, when I go to a meeting, what I'm looking for specifically, I look for that interaction at that point. So a lot of times it's like, for me, the meaning is more than just listening to someone. It's looking across the table and taking in what they're feeling as they're talking. Because a lot of times, if you ornery ass, bad, you ornery ass. If you take this in for a moment, just kind of, take this in. Um, when you're in an AA meeting, and if you've been around the program for a good minute, and the longer you stick around AA, the more you get good at this. You get really good at it. Um, Around, I would say about 2 years sober, I could get to where I could look across the table and kind of pretty well see whether or not someone was full of BS as they were talking. I'll give you a great example, and I kind of feel bad about this on one hand, but on the other hand, it might have been the best thing for him. I was sitting in a meeting, and for the longest time, I mean, there was this guy for about a year, I would listen to him, and I knew he was full of it. Um, and he asked me to sponsor him, and this is this is actually a commonplace thing. You'll have someone, ask you to sponsor him. Okay, yeah, here's my phone number. Give me a call. Um, and you'll never hear from them, but they'll be at the meetings, and this is a common thing. They'll be at the meetings, and it's like, okay, well, let's get you to work on such and such. We need to get to work on the steps, and pretty soon, it's like you're just having me sponsor you in name only, so people get you off of their. So when people ask you who your sponsor is, you could say, well, it's that guy right there. No, it doesn't work that way. So finally, one day, I mean, I didn't quite call it, and there's a way of calling people out in AA meetings without actually calling them out. And I kind of did this. Um, he was talking about, he was sitting there talking about going to, how the meetings help, how the meetings help. And finally, it came time for me to say something. And I said, you know what? And so many times I said, you hear that the meeting makers make it. I said, how many times have we heard that? I said, well, if that's the case, then you can just go to a meeting and that's it. You can just go to meetings. I said, but there's more involved with Alcoholics Anonymous, and thank God there is. I said, because it's more involved than just staying, than going to meetings to stay sober. I said, that might be fine for a few casual people that can come in, and as some of the old timers say, get it through osmosis. It doesn't work that way for a lot of us. I said, and you can always tell the ones that'll try to tell you that you can get it through osmosis. I said, come in and sit down in a meeting and just, bullshit their way through the program. I said, it doesn't work that way. I said, you can always spot them a mile away. I said, those of us who've actually come in, got a sponsor, worked the steps with that sponsor, worked in meeting, continue, picked one of those meetings, those actual meetings, an actual group, and turned that into our home group, and then turned right around after, getting, becoming a member of that home group, actually contributing to that home group, and things like that. All of these things that most people don't realize is super important. We get enough time in the program and we could spot those. WD-40. Okay, okay. I haven't had a drink in over 15 years. Every time I drink it, bad things happen to me. And bad things happen to the people around me. My thinking goes to hell in a handbasket. But I'm sitting there like, we know who's bullshitting their way through it. They'll get a sponsor and name only. They'll come to the meeting and say, "Oh, it's great," and underneath those of us that have been 12 steppers for a long time, we look up at the ceiling and go, "Yeah, we know." And we know that that the people that do this, they're gonna be right back out there before too long. They're gonna be doing the same damn thing. We'll save you a seat when you relapse, okay? But then again, why don't we just stop calling it a relapse and call it what it is? You're gonna go get drunk. You're gonna go get drunk. Hey, what's going on, J-Dog? Good to see you, buddy. We know you're gonna go get drunk and you're gonna go make a fool of yourself. And before you know it, either A, you might get lucky enough to make it back to us, or B, we'll hear about you in the papers. We'll read about you in the paper. Hopefully it's not in the obituary section. And when I said, kind of said all of this, basically it's like, we call you out on your bullshit. All right, J-Dog, there you go. We called you out on your bullshit sort of thing. There was the guy who had me sponsor him in name only. He kind of looked down at the table, realized that, hey, we know you're full of shit. Okay, you've not worked a single fucking step. You're, you know, your life is not well, okay? Your life is not well. You come in and act like it is, but your life is not okay. You're, you're going to be back to it. I didn't see him anymore. I kind of feel bad about that, but on the other hand, he probably had to go back out and hit yet another bottom before he realized that maybe it was time. I'm sure that has happened a time or two. I'm sure you've heard about that. Man arrested for indecent exposure in front of a church, getting it on with a plastic reindeer. Yeah, you hear about some doozies with it. Um, we had a couple of moments some years back. There was a guy I started to sponsor, and he decided to go back out. And when he did it right. A bunch of others got into all this trouble. They were all arrested. Um, and the guy, he knew better. He was basically out drinking and driving without a driver's license. By the way, it was amazing he could drive because he only had one leg. So it was kind of like that. He had an artificial leg. But it's like, what were you thinking? I mean, I looked right at him and said, what were you thinking on this one? Really? What were you thinking? He said, I wasn't. It sounded like a good idea. A bunch of us got together. We started drinking. He said, I don't know what I was thinking. I said, did it ever occur to you maybe you should have called me? Oh, there you go. There you go, Chairman. I said, did it ever occur to you maybe you should consider calling me before you did something stupid? He said, I considered it. He said, but then I just did it. I said, exactly. You didn't think this through. I said, you're supposed to think through the drink. You know, what's on the other side of that drink? It's not rocket science, pal. He said, are you pretty mad at me? I said, I'm not mad at all. I said, concerned. I said, because now you've got charges hanging over your head. You know, um, you have now, I said, basically, you have drank yourself into a position where your freedom could be gone. I said, what are you going to do now? I remember getting a knock at the front door, police asking me, do you know where this guy is? I said, he took off a week ago. I said, be absolutely honest with you. If I knew where he was, I'd point you in his direction. I said, but he ran off about a week ago. I said, I heard he had family up in Illinois. I said, I'd start there. I said, but I haven't heard from him. Yeah, he turned around. That's funny. But yeah, and here's the thing. I'm going to point this out again, and I think a lot of people sometimes tend to forget this. It's not how often you drink or how much you drink. It's what happens to you when you do drink alcohol. That's the big one. Okay? And a lot of people tend to get that confused. It's not how much you drink or how often you drink. It's what happens to you when you do drink. And that is okay. So yeah, and you don't drink alone. It's Here's the thing. It's not where you drink, how much you drink, okay? And let me explain it like this. I remember numerous times what got me into this trouble, you know, looking at which drink, which bottle it was that got me into trouble. Here's the first one. Here's an easy one. When you're dealing with a train, a choo-choo train, if you will, it's not the caboose that kills you. It's the locomotive, the first one in the train that kills you. All right. So logic says that when you go on a bender, an alcoholic bender, and you get yourself into trouble, it's not the last drink that gets you into trouble. It's the first one. That's simple. So, in essence, when we talk about this, I will tell you, I hated beer when I drank. I absolutely despised beer. I always got sick before I got drunk. That's the way it was. Um, the last drunk I remember, I was drinking Crown Royal. That was my alcohol of choice. I remember Sober Man and I talking about that. He's like, I know you really weren't so much into drugs. Your thing was straight up alcohol. He said, so what was your drink of choice? I said, Crown Royal. He's like, that you didn't even miss a beat. He said, that's an expensive one. I said, yeah, but it was my favorite. Bad, bad, you're a trip, man. But yeah, just take that in for a moment, okay? Um, when Sober Man and I were talking about it, he's like, what was your second choice? I said, Canadian Mist. Hey, what's going on, Mikey G? Uh, I'm, you know, as a matter of fact, here's your typical alcoholic pissed off, you know, I would get pissed off every time I'd look long enough because there's now like the apple flavored, uh, Crown Royal, the maple. I'm like, they didn't have this shit whenever I was still drinking. You motherfuckers come out with this shit after I get sober. Fuck you. Yeah, I get pissed off about it every time I think about it. It's like, hell, I could have been trying that out. You motherfuckers. You waited till after I got sober. Now you try to lure me back. Fuck you bastards. So yeah. And the company that makes Crown Royal probably made a small fortune off my ass. Because I mean, I remember distinctly the first time I tried to quit drinking, I thought I won the lottery because I had all this money I couldn't account for. It was all going towards booze. It was probably safe to say I had about a close to about a $400 to $500 a week habit. And Crown Royal's not cheap, anyways. That's not cheap. But I always hated beer. I'd always get sick before I got drunk. But if I drank beer, it was always a malt liquor of some sort, or I liked my microbrews. Other than that, I know some people Corona and just start naming it. No, microbrews was a choice as well. I like those. Keep it changing. I used to, for the longest time, keep my sobriety coins in a Crown Royal bag, and it was actually for the longest time it was from the last the last bag that came um, with my Crown Royal. It was from the very last one. And someone actually watched me getting them out one day, and they said, "Why in the fuck do you have your AA coins in a Crown Royal bag?" And I said, "It's a reminder I'm always one drink away from the man I used to be." It was an old timer who heard me say this. He hollers out, "Amen, brother." He's like, "Thank you for that." Oh, really? The one below. Yeah, I used to get the fifth of Crown Royal. I've never heard of the. Oh, so you drink Foster's? I'll be honest with you. I never really was a big fan of beer. Here in the United States, American beer is just horrible, absolute garbage. I mean, it's nasty. I'm telling you right now, if you ever had it, it's nasty as fuck. Um, American beer is nasty. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, it's disgusting. I wouldn't. No, I'm good. I was gonna if I God forbid I ever got a wild hair and wanted to relapse. But if I did, I'd sure as fuck would not do it on American beer. That is just how it's gonna be. Bad Bat coming at going at Raven. No, well, let's put it this way. I won't drink. I don't want to drink. Every time I drank back in the day, it was always bad juju. It was bad juju. You know, I never liked the places it took me. I didn't like what it did to me. I'm good. I'm good with all that noise. I'm good. I'm sorry. I didn't like the person I was. Well, that's different. I'm talking drinking alcohol. I got my coffee. Coffee's a different story. I mean, I can get wired on caffeine. That's not so bad. But yeah, just take that in for a moment. That every time I drank, bad things seemed to always have to happen. It had to happen. And it's like, why? Why did it always have to happen that way? And that's just the alcoholic mind. That's just the way it was. And I don't have to live that way anymore. I don't have to live in that world, which is, thank God. Every time, like I said, every time I drank before, it was not good. There you go, Chairman. I hated it. I hated who I was in the bottom of a bottle. I absolutely despised it. And I'll tell y'all right now, if you've never experienced what that's like, you know, alcohol took me, hey, what's going on? Think different. Haven't seen you in a moment. Every time I drank, it always sent me to places I didn't like being, and it always made me feel like it. The best way I could put it is I always hated who I was. Really. Well, coffee's the one is my drink of choice today. You know, and if I get tired of coffee, I can always go to my soda, or I can go drink a cup of water or iced tea or a hot tea for that matter. There is always, if you will, just take this in, that again, I don't have to drink alcohol today. And that's the thing. When I got to AA, yeah, right there with you, right there with you. When I got to AA, the thing of it is that I got to the point, I couldn't have, I do every now and again. I like a good soda every now. Yeah, caffeine can be tough on a person. But yeah, just again, I want to remind you all that when it comes to this alcoholic right here, when I got to AA, I couldn't imagine living life without a drink. Then it got to the point where it's hard. It's hard to give up the booze. So let me kind of give you food for thought. When I got to AA, I couldn't imagine life without a drink. Then at a certain point, I realized that if I ever drank again, that drinking would never be the same. And then it got to the point where I don't have to drink if I don't want to. I know that's just take that in a moment. You know, if you're a smoker, you got a pretty good idea what I'm talking about. If you've ever struggled with alcoholism, after working through the steps, I got to a point where I realized that if I picked up a drink again, that my drinking would never be the same again. But then it got to a point where I actually had a choice. I actually felt like I had a choice. And that's important for a lot of people to remember. When you didn't feel like you had a choice, you can't imagine life without it. But then it got to a point where I could now imagine where I don't have to. I didn't have to. It's amazing, right? I didn't feel like I had to anymore. I could just make that choice. I don't want to drink today. And for 15 years, well, I remember thinking about, when took me 4 months and 1 week to get through my initial walkthrough, but I'm still learning the steps. I guess you could say that, Sober Man led me through all 12 steps, and I learned the basics of all 12 steps. 4 months and 1 week. Some people, it takes a long time. Some people will dick with those steps. All right, you go for it. But just take that in, that I had that through working the steps, I have a choice. And that choice really actually came about when I got to the fifth step. When I got through my fifth step. And kind of go to it, kind of read to you what that basically entails. So if you've ever wondered what I'm talking about, page 67, oh, sorry, 67 is something totally different. Oh, yeah, that's an important one that I kind of keep bookmarked. Into action. Here it is, page 75. Sorry about that. You'll have to excuse me. I can usually remember right off the top of my head. I need to crack this open a little bit more often so I can remember this stuff better. We pocket our pride and go to it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted. We can look at the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We feel we are on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. Now, that's we call that the fifth step promises. I actually remember telling an old timer, he's like, I had a hard enough time with the ninth step promises. You know where there's other promises in the book? I said, oh yeah, they're all over the book. He's like, well, I'm glad you know this stuff. He's like, that's amazing. There's promises all over the book. You just, got to, look for them. So there's prayers all over the book, to get us alcoholics through. And he, he was actually impressed. I was showing him. He's like, damn. He's like, I've never heard of these. He's like, I read the book. He said, I've read the book. He said, but I guess it never really dawned on me. Right there. It was pretty cool. I got that. There's actually, there's this one old timer in the area. He's got well over 40 years, I think, 44 now. And when I were talking about this, one day, him and I were talking about it. All right, Chairman, thank you. Appreciate you being here. But we were kind of talking about this, and he's like, he said, I just wanted you to know that, he said, I oftentimes think of you as my big book thumper. And there would be times that if he needed to know where something was in this book right here, he would usually ask me to look it up for him real quick. And yeah, he's like, he's like, there's a spot to talk. Oh yeah, I know right where you're, and I would always take it as a compliment, a big book thumper. You'd hear the more religious members of AA say, this is the big book. But then, I also use the good book too, and they're referring to the Bible. I'm like, okay, I'll stick with the big book. I've heard some of the more religious members of AA call this the sick person's Bible. I've heard that one a time or two. Interesting way of looking at it. Okay, fine. just one of those things. That's just the nature of Alcoholics Anonymous. That it kind of caters to all religions, including those who don't have any religion. It's one of the nice things about it. So even if you don't have a religion, it'll still cater to your needs, if you will. Um, I've even had to sit down and kind of figure out, okay, if I met someone who's atheist, how would I approach this? Oh, the spirit of what the spirituality side of it is that oh, okay, rock and roll, rock and roll. What do you go by now? Solar moon eclipse. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. All right. Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. We'll just go by solar. Okay, that works for me. Rock and roll. But, again, we're back to, if you will, yeah, I figured that's what you wanted. As soon as I say, I figured that'd be easier for me to say anyways. It's kind of some of y'all come in here with names that are like freaking ridiculous. It's like, dang, how am I supposed to pronounce that? What the flying flip? Come on, man. Okay, okay. Well, I'll keep my peepers peeped. So kind of take that in for a moment, if you will. Kind of take that in. That, again, we're back to, the fact that, I've been around AA a long time. Uh, I've met some interesting people, but being a big book thumper, that's actually that you take that as a compliment in AA. And I still do. I don't get in the book enough, so I probably should spend a little bit more time in the book. Um, you know, Sometime I'll have to look, but I've got a special big print. Yep. I've got several of these shirts, quite a few of them actually. You know, and again, the thing of it is that being a member of AA definitely has its advantages. Um, I don't. A lot of times with my experience, I know there's a particular gentleman that um, I don't know. I don't know. Kind of talking about sobriety right now. I'd have to think on that question for a good minute. Probably. But any hoopy do. Yeah, again, just, think about that for a moment. You know, um, through working the steps, there's a particular gentleman who's you know, actually a regular here on the channel. I haven't seen him in about a week. He pokes in about this time, or whenever we're talking about Spirit, he'll poke in. And initially, he started razzing me about Project Spirit, and finally, I just, I got tired of it, and I was like, "Look, man, here's my email. Give me shoot me an email." Well, he sends me an email. I said, "Here's my phone number. Let's talk." And he waited about 3, 4 days, and finally gave me because it was getting a little much. Calls me up. I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Okay, Dan." He said, I'm trusting you here." He said, "You're not recording it." I said, "No, no, no." I said, "I just want to ask what the problem is." I said, "Because this is my other job, if you will, what I'm doing here on YouTube." And I said, "I just want to ask what the problem is." "Well, you're doing this." And, I said, "You don't have to agree with it." I said, "It's kind of like I said, what I'm doing here," I said, "it's kind of like a TV show. If you're not if you're not down for it, you can, if you will, almost change the channel. You don't have to agree with it. I said, but this is what I'm doing. I'm having a good time. I said, that's really what it boils down to is I'm having a good time. And I said, I said, remember when we were younger? I said, how old are you? I was asking him questions and everything. I said, how old are you? And, he's like 10 years older than me. And he's like, I'm this age. And I said, well, the thing of it is, I said, remember when we were younger, we had fun with whatever we had. We didn't have a whole lot of money. Yeah, I said, well, I'm taking people back to that time. I said, because even still, I don't have a whole lot of money. I said, I do what I can with what I got. I said, I'm having a good time. I said, that's what I'm inviting everyone to do is come along with me, have a good time. He's like, I guess I hadn't really thought of it that way. And we talked for probably a couple hours. And finally, he's like, this is not the direction I thought this was going to go. He's like, and I said, well, no, it wasn't meant to. It wasn't meant to go the direct. I said, I'm not here to, be mean to people. So just having a good time. I said, I'm trying to get this thing off the ground so I can, make enough money. And I told him about Princess Bay and everything. And he's like, I guess I really never thought of it that way. He said, this is totally different than what I expected. We ended up becoming good friends. I got to give him a holler and see how he's doing. Uh, and that's our good buddy, Third Gen 83. He's a real good guy. And then once we cut right through the BS, and he's like, this is not the direction I thought this was going to go. And we became the best of friends. And he actually was kind enough to tell me that afterwards that if you will, he told me afterwards that he said you have a different take. So that's through the working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous that I'm able to do that. I said, through that process, I have been able to kind of change how I react to things. I said, I don't react, I respond. I said, yeah, I was upset. I was really kind of, I said, I was angry. I said, but going about it the way that everybody else would do, I said, it just make an enemy out of another person. That's not my goal in life. I said, my goal in life is to reach out to other people. I said, what's going on in your life that you hurt so bad? And that's the objective, to find hope, whatever it is here on the channel, to find something that gives you hope, to enjoy life without a drink or a drug, the message of hope. And that has been the biggest focus on this channel. Even if you don't get it, hopefully you still get it, if you will. Hey, he did this, and I got some sort of peace out of it. I got that message of hope today. Whether it's working on a car or in the kitchen cooking, a message of hope. I enjoy life without a drink or a drug. I'm having a good time. Which I know some of you say, well, you still smoke and you still drink coffee. Yeah, I know, but I'm not looking for that effective euphoria to hide behind, to hide what's going on in here. I'm not looking to escape life. I'm looking to enjoy life. And I enjoy coffee, and I still enjoy smoking. Cigars, cigarettes. I still enjoy that. That's a little bit different. It's a horse of a different color. So that hopefully that narrows that down. If you ever wondered about that, I'm not looking to escape life. I'm looking to live it. And through alcohol, I was trying to escape life. Today, I enjoy living life. And I enjoy it to the best of my ability every day. I try to find something that I maybe learned about the day and something that I just had a great time doing. Sometimes it's the same thing over and over every day, but you know what? Consistency has its advantages too. Today I woke up this morning and I found it not necessary to take a drink, and any day that still happens, it is still a miracle. That's funny, man. That's awesome. I like that. You know. I've been having a good time. I'm having a good time living life. Um, and if you all have ever wondered, I can actually look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you to the guy looking back at me in the mirror. I can say, I love you to me. I love who I am today. It's not perfect, but it sure as hell is a lot better than what it used to be. And I'm happy with, who I am today. I'm not always 100%. I still make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Last time I checked, I don't glow with holy light and I don't walk on water. Occasionally, when I'm playing Save the World, I do a phase shift, but that's about it. You know, I enjoy who I am and I'm having a good time. And that's all that matters is I'm having a good time. I'm living life, you know, and I love who I am. Not a half bad guy after all. Underneath all that craziness and everything that I was going through my alcoholism, I'm a pretty good guy, I think. I at least try my best to do right. Something to think about. All righty. So we're beginning to slow down for the stream. I hope all of you took a little something in, maybe took a little bit away. Let me also remind all of you, if you've been in the stream, at least kind of lurky turkey, taking it all in, maybe listening in the background. Maybe you just had it running. You've been a part of this story. You've been a part of my life story, I guess you could say, my sober story. I am just a collage, a mosaic of the lives that have touched mine. So you are now part of my sober story. Okay, you're part of my sobriety. And who knows how many people in a lifetime that I'm probably gonna maybe reach out and help. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it was you today that I helped. I don't know. Not in your shoes. Can't tell you. Maybe it might be even something that I said today that later on down the road might help you out after all. We don't know. But since you've been a part of today's stream, been a part of my life today, whatever it may be, something to take into account, I guess you could say. If you've wondered whether or not you are a worthwhile human being, it is safe to say that if you've been part of my life trying to reach out and help other people, who knows who you may have reached today indirectly just by being here. So if you've wondered if you have any worth in life, you are worth something today. Right along with me. We're all in this together. I don't stay sober alone. It takes a lot of people to help me stay sober. So, as a reminder to all of you, if you will, not only I am still a selfish alcoholic. I need all the members of Alcoholics Anonymous to help me stay sober. But not only that, I need all of you to help me stay sober. And there's a lot of you that have come along and joined me in sobriety. In my sobriety at least. There's a lot of you, over 1,000 of you. That number keeps fluctuating. YouTube, leave my subscribers alone. When they're on, they'll be glad to join us. When they're not, we just know that they're there. Don't fuck with it. Sometimes I need to be reminded of that. Leave what is alone. All righty. So, I'm going to shut down a few minutes early tonight. No, I'm good. I don't need a drink. I'm happy like this. Alrighty, so really quick. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Faye's Corner. Faye's Corner. Princess Faye will be live doing whatever it is that she feels like doing. Saturday, we will be trying out the new Save the World Saturday. Sunday will be a sexy cinnamon Sunday. So you all can come along and have a good time with one of the spiciest things here on YouTube. It'll be cinnamon. May the God save us now. So all of you will get your dose of cinnamon on Sundays. We're moving that to Sundays now. Monday, we will not be streaming. Hopefully, I will have a video all ready to go. Hey, what's going on, Papa Kronos? We're getting ready to wind it down. I'm getting ready to go live on Save the World and probably in the next 5 to 10. After this, we got Dungeons. We're going to probably take on the regular Storm King. So you're definitely welcome to come along with us. I've seen you've got some new stuff up. Yeah. Wood for the win. Hey, Cinnamon did do a wood for the win for Ian, which I think she's working on something special for Ian. I don't know. We'll find out. You never know. You've been outside? Okay. I was outside earlier. I changed a part on Project Spirit. It did not fix the problem that we've been having. We'll talk more about that in another stream. But in the meantime, again, Monday we won't be streaming. We will be, hopefully I will have something for upload, which I've got stuff. I just got to finish it and quit dicking around with it. So there you go. Blah, blah, blah. All righty. So that does bring us to a great stopping point for the evening. Ooh, there you go. There you go. 50 wins on Fortnite. Good luck. Not easy when you got sweaty motherfuckers in there. I'll stick to Save the World. I like the storyline more. That's just me. So, alrighty. So we are now at that stage, if you will. As a reminder to all of you. Yeah, it's not easy. As a reminder to all of you as we begin to let out for the evening. Couple of things. Number one, get your Prince Magnum channel exclusive merch. The link is in the description box. Grab that link if you want your own Prince Magnum. Yeah, it's easy to get that. Grab your Prince Magnum channel exclusive merchandise over there. Whatever it is that you enjoy. There's even Princess Faye exclusive artwork over there as well. Be sure to grab it. That does bring us to a great stopping point for the evening. As a reminder to all of you out there, at day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And for all of you out there, if no one out there has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.